There we go. All right. Whew, it's a good thing I checked that. Here I was sitting here talking. Nobody let me know they couldn't hear me. Oh, thank you, Karen. Can you hear me now? Hopefully you can. Yes, okay. I realized I had this is what I did the very first time we ever did. I did one of these. I did the whole first session and then realized the little button on my screen on my computer keyboard here that has the microphone was like X'd out. So anyway. All right. I'm going to get my poll ready here. Start off every week with a poll. I'm going to get my link ready to pop in here into the comments so you guys can take a quick. And these are anonymous, so I don't know who put stuff in. So just be as honest as you want to. It helps the conversation a little bit more. All right. So here comes the poll. If you want to click on there, I'm going to do it while you guys do it. So I just put the poll in the chat box there. I'm going to try and take this too. And it's all anonymous. Although I should, okay. So we'll see what comes in. I see my husband's on. I'm wondering if he picked the same ones I did. I'm not gonna say anything though. All right. Okay. Also, while we do that, I put a poll out there in the Coffee Talk with Kim group. If you're not a part of that group, well, I guess there's not really anything special to it right now. But I know inside groups I can do polls and things, which I can't necessarily do on the actual Facebook page. And so earlier on this week, a couple days ago, I put a poll out there, and you're more than welcome to go back. In the group is public, so you can always go in there and find that group. But the question was, what strategies do you use to manage your anxiety? It looks like the top one was, let's see, with 12 votes was prayer and or Bible reading. Let's see. The next top one was talking to friends or family. And the next one was eating and shopping and binge watching. Those were the top 5, I think. And I put a lot in there. So if you want to take that poll, you're more than welcome to go on to the Lessons from the Waiting Room Facebook page, and you can put in your answers there. Unfortunately, that one is not anonymous, so you might be judged. I don't know. I'm not judging when I look at those, but be as honest as you want to be. All right, so let's go back here and look. Okay. All right, so definitely seeing some work and finances. Family. And you guys, I think, can see those results too. Before I get started, I was hoping to have 2 disclaimers. First of all, I am pretty much all natural today. It's so hot. I put on makeup and I'm sweating it off. So I figured, what's the point? So the hair is pulled back because the hair is greasy. It's been sweaty today. And I don't have, what you see is what you get from me tonight. So second announcement here, I'm using my husband's Smarty Pants coffee mug tonight, and I'm having the frozen coffee where I froze ice cubes in, and then I poured some milk over it. So that's what I have in my coffee cup tonight. All right, so I wanted to, tonight's we're talking about living with anxiety and some techniques that I've been using, and I go through periods where some things work and some things don't. So, please, once again, I am not the authority on all this, but a lot of this that I'll talk about is stuff that I've learned in my own personal counseling, some things that I've adopted based on what I like and what calms me, and then also some of what I have learned through my current training that I'm going through for mental health counseling. So the first thing I wanted to start off with, talking about anxiety, I wanted to refer, I'm looking over to a screen over here, that's why my head is turned, but I wanted to start off with something that I had written, it was a little bit ago. I don't see the date on here. I guess I should put September 14th of 2019. This was a while ago. This is when I was really, really in the thick of battling with anxiety, and then we found that anxiety led to depression. And so I tried to write about it in a way that I felt could kind of explain what the process was like for me as a person, to see if anyone else would relate, or to see if it could help, anyone else out there who might be dealing with some of it. And it's called What I Need You to Know About Me. So I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. It says, while I enjoy a good dance sequence in a television show or a movie, I've never been much of a dancer myself. I'm not coordinated enough to do that many things with my hands, feet, and the rest of my body all at the same time. And yet, I feel like there's an invisible dance that goes on inside of me. It's not one of those mesmerizing hip-hop routines from one of those Step It Up movies. It's more like one of those old social Victorian dances, or better yet, one of those country hoedowns where you change partners all throughout the dance. My regular dance partners are my healing self, my anxious self, and my depression self. This week, my husband was trying to figure out what had sent me back down the black hole. Oh, there was a typo. The black hole. He's so patient and loving. I know he wants to help me however he can. I tried to explain it to him, but I had no words to explain it and nothing comprehensible to compare it to. The people around me this past week knew I was battling, and they tried to help and encourage me through it. They were loving and patient with me, even though I couldn't really explain it to them either. Then, in a moment of clarity, it came to me in the place where I do my best thinking, in the shower. Mind you, half the time I can't remember if I use shampoo or actually washed my face, but I can have revelations about how to put explainable concepts into illustrations. I don't know or get it, but I'm just going to be thankful. I came to think of the goings on in my mind similar to that of a hoedown or an old Victorian style social dance. On any given day, there are 3 dance partners that go around and around inside of me to a nice little ditty: my healing self, my anxious self, and my depression self. Some days, my healing self has a solo for all of my functioning hours. I begin to get excited because I see progress and growth. I'm also a little cautious because I don't know when the other dance partners will try to step in. Some days, my healing self and my anxious self will waltz a little, but the healing self ends up taking another solo. Some days, my black hole days, my healing self is butted out and taken down on the dance floor by my anxious self and my depression self. And it's not allowed to join the dance until the music stops or the other 2 partners have been medicated and are worn out. Let's get a little more specific with this. It's a normal day. My healing self is dancing the solo. I'm at work, doing my job, trying to make a difference. Out of the corner of my eye, healing self sees some movement from anxious self. Anxious self is swaying to the music, trying to time her entrance, much like jump rope. So far, the normal dance steps of reading her Bible and praying have been sufficient to keep anxious self at bay. But healing self starts to think of alternate choreography so she can try to throw off the looming dancing partner. Healing self now begins using her calming oils and a diffuser, wrapping up in a weighted blanket, listening to soothing music, taking a walk, etc. And sometimes this change of choreography is enough to throw off anxious self. Sometimes anxious self catches on quick and falls in with the choreography and adds extra steps that start to throw off healing self. Healing self trips over on her own feet and tries to get up but struggles because anxious self moves a mile a minute and she's afraid she's going to get hurt. In the meantime, a crowd gathers around the commotion and they notice that healing self has fallen and is struggling. Anxious self no longer has a dance partner because healing self is no longer dancing. So she whistles to depression self, calling her to come dance. So now healing self is on the floor, trying to avoid getting stepped on. She wants to reach out to a bystander, but she's too far from the crowd. She wonders if she will ever be able to get back to her feet. She's a skilled dancer. She should be able to handle this. How did she get tripped up? She wonders if the crowd that's watching this unfold doubts her ability or skill to dance. When or if she's able to get back up, will they think of her as weak or lesser dancer? She wonders if it's even worth the effort to get back up and try to dance again if her dance is going to get sabotaged again. So now healing self is apologizing to all of those who are watching the spectacle. She wants them to know she's better than what they're witnessing. She's struggling to get back up and balance out the dance. She doesn't want them to discount her as a dancer. She just needs something to stop the music so the dance can reset. I know that was a little bit longer. Hi, Ryland. I see you there. But there are days that is still so very true for me. And I know there was a lot of healing self, depression self. And for me, the depression self often comes after the anxious self, because what happens is I'm doing better, I'm using my strategies, and then something hits me. I sit down at work, I lose my train of thought, I can't focus, I can't get it together. I see the signs, my anxiety's kicking in for various reasons. And I get frustrated with myself because I thought I was making progress. And if I can't take care of myself, then how am I supposed? And so you see, it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And before you know it, I'm beating myself up and not focusing on some positives that can help me get back in the game. And I come home from work sometimes and I'm trying to get myself back together so I don't waste the rest of the night. Just by sleeping, because there's nothing else that I just want to take my mind off everything. So let's talk about, this is a battle for me of living with anxiety, and different people's anxiety looks different. Okay. Earlier this week and another week, I had posted the 15 signs of anxiety. So I'm going to go back to my Facebook page here. But while I do that, why anxiety? What causes anxiety? You guys put in your you guys took the poll. What are some things that cause anxiety? Your work, your finances. And a lot of times those are related. Maybe COVID has got you wondering. So fear of what I can't control. Second, and this is a big one for me, felt safety. If you have ever been in a situation where, let's say you were hoping for a certain thing and it looks like it's going to happen and then it just all falls apart. It's like the rug gets pulled out, or you've been hurt by someone repeatedly, or, it causes trust issues, whether it's between you and another person, whether it's between you and God. There can be trust issues. And that contributes to that felt safety. I can't relax. I can't give up control because I don't trust anybody. I don't even trust myself. And when I get to that point, that's a pretty hopeless and helpless place to be. And that's where the depression for me starts to set in. And we'll talk about irrational thoughts in a couple minutes because that also plays into it. But the third thing can be a chemical imbalance. Sometimes in the Christian school of thought, the whole anxiety, we throw around anxiety like it's the same as worry, and it's not. I posted something today on the page that talks about how worry is different from anxiety, how it looks different. There are things that there are medications that can cause paranoia, that can cause panic attacks. Um, you have a day when you're not in tune with your body and something happens, you get bad news or something, and it can overwhelm your senses and can cause panic. You can have chemical imbalances that cause anxiety. So certainly there are some times where our anxiety is really worry out of control. And then there's sometimes where there's legitimate chemical biological issues that are causing anxiety. I think also our health. When we're not feeling like we're in good health, that naturally causes some anxiety that's very difficult for us. I know when right before I was getting my appendix taken out, I almost had a panic attack because I was like, I'm going to get put under and not wake up again. So that, different things like that can cause panic and can cause anxiety. So the signs of anxiety that I had put on Lessons from the Waiting Room, the Facebook page, there were 15 signs. I mentioned them last week. I've now put them together as one graphic. So if you want to go on, you can save that picture if that's helpful to you. 15 warning signs that someone's anxiety is setting in: appearing zoned out, snapping at something small, they become impatient, they're struggling to make eye contact, they need lots of reassurance, they're struggling to sit still, they avoid making plans about the future, they want to leave an event early, there's pressured speech, concentration difficulties, hypersensitive to noises, protective mannerisms like stroking their arms, shortness of breath, pacing back and forth, and dryness in the mouth, tightness in the throat, or speech difficulties. Once again, that's on the Lessons from the Waiting Room Facebook page. If you want to go there, you can save that picture. That could be because you want to know, obviously that's not the end all of all symptoms, but that's a good place to start. Okay, so why the anxiety? What are some signs of anxiety? I already said that. And for me, I know a lot of times I can tell that I'm starting to deal with my anxiety when I get stuck in this pattern of thoughts. Like I get really obsessive. I can't let go of something. It's just stuck in my mind, and I can't even distract myself. I'll try to, okay, I'll do house cleaning, but the whole time I'm thinking about it. And so, this is where for me, medicine has had to come in because I've not been able to really be successful in doing it without the help of medication. We've had to add more once COVID came along. And believe me, I don't love being on medication. I feel like my daily medication pill box keeps getting bigger, but I also need to be able to function. So in conjunction with counseling and doing some of my own therapeutic things, medication is helping me for now to keep things under control. It's been months since I've had a panic attack. And those for me really started after a traumatic event. So, it just really kind of depends. Okay. So how do we combat anxiety? One of the things, well, I'll mention that in a second. But first of all, relaxation and meditation, they are two different things. Okay. Relaxation, meditation helps you become more connected with things around you and be heightening your senses. Okay. You can also meditate on scripture. Relaxation techniques, you can get certain apps, or there's a channel on YouTube I play a lot before I go to bed called the Relaxation Channel, and it's like 3 to 4 hours of just relaxing music that plays. There are guided techniques that if you get on one of these like mindful apps or one of the meditation apps, it will talk you through, okay, like let's think about these muscle groups, try to flex it and let it go. That it actually works through your body so you physically relax. Okay. Then there's meditation. Um, and that also helps bring about like inner quietness. Okay, so along with both relaxation and meditation, there are guided breathing exercises. I know that maybe sounds a little, if you're thinking any of this sounds kooky, believe me, I never thought breathing would help me so much. Breathing is so essential. You think about when you're having a panic attack, if you've ever had a panic attack, or you're hyperventilating, right? You're panting, you're breathing hard, you're not getting good airflow to your brain, so your brain is not able to think logically and rationally. In a panic attack, a lot of times you're having such irrational thoughts. And for me, it would be like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Is this what dying feels like? I feel like I can feel everything. And it was just like constant, constant, constant. And I mean, I'm sitting up in the middle of the night confessing for everything I've done since I was an infant, because I was convinced this is it. I'm gonna die. This is what dying feels like, and scared to death. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And yet the night before, I was thinking I don't want to live. So, it's we get into these irrational thinking bits, and a lot of that can be you're not getting sufficient blood flow to your brain. So breathing, mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is kind of a term that comes from like Buddhism, okay? But I'm not talking about, when we talk about mindfulness, this is my mindfulness journal, okay? And what it does, it actually takes gratitude, because we'll talk about that in a minute, how that's something that can be positive, therapeutically positive, writing out your habits and goals. And so I just started doing this up again. For me, things work for a while and then they kind of taper off. But this specific one, I start off each week, and it has a I was trying to get to. It has like a habit tracker. I don't know if you can see that. Has a habit tracker, and then it says what goal do you want to reach? How are you going to reach these goals? But over here on the side, it normally asks you like, what did you learn last week? What's one thing you did well? And it gives a mindfulness challenge. I don't know if any of you guys have seen my recent thing I put up in our group that was the observe a natural thing. I posted 2 pictures. So that was my mindfulness challenge for the week. And my journal is to every day notice a natural object, to maybe feel it, smell it. Don't taste it. There are some things in nature that should not be tasted. Okay. Like Shiloh was my first one. He should not be tasted. Most days he shouldn't even be smelled, but he often is. Just because he stinks. That's why. So journaling. This then also has everyday journaling that I can go in and I can reflect on, what am I thankful for today? And this isn't necessarily a spiritual or religious journal, but I can make it that way if I want it to be. What am I grateful for today? What am I doing to work on my mind? Or what was going on with my mind today? Was I having racing thoughts? Was I, was it a bad day for me mentally? How's my body feeling? What went well today? What's a moment of happiness for tomorrow that I'm going to plan for myself? So it gives me something to look forward to. This is one practice I've used. This last week, I was having a day where I was extremely anxious, just couldn't get out of my head. So I decided I have an adult coloring book. I'm not, again, I say these things, and these things would be things I used to laugh at when people would, like, you guys are crazy. Adult coloring books, that's kind of juvenile. But I got one, and I have found, I can put music on. When I'm writing, I can't put on any music that has words because it kind of like gets into what I'm saying. But when I'm coloring, that's when I play my music on Spotify. I play the Hold Hope playlist. It's kind of low key, but it's got all songs about hope. in the Christian walk, and I just color. And it's really amazing to me the things that come to my mind. Um, the last time I was coloring, and my mind went back to one of the first residentials that our guy that we were going to adopt was living at. And I don't know why, but it's happened to me a couple of times. And I think it's because that was a place where we had some good times together. We had our first Mother's Day celebration and things. And so some positive things came back up to my mind. So if you can carve out 15 minutes, I got, coloring book, coloring pencils. Mine has scriptures on it. So I pick a verse that means something to me. And I might be on the same verse for like a month, just coloring 15 minutes at a time. That's very helpful to me. Prayer, Bible reading, scripture memory. I have a scripture memory app on my phone where I can pick different verses on a specific topic that I need to help with. And I work on memorizing that scripture. Same thing for the Bible readings. I use the Bible app. YouVersion, and find Bible reading or devotionals. That coffee is coming back to get me. All right. So techniques, the relaxation and meditation, increasing positive emotions. That's where you've got the journaling going. And the other thing was writing. They call it in another book that I was getting some information from. This is one of my textbooks. It's called Learning the Art of Helping, Building Blocks and Techniques. It suggests doing a gratitude visit. It's like, what is that? And that's where you're going to write a note of gratitude to someone that you rarely thank for things and actually take it to them and give it to them. A gratitude visit. Thought stopping. This is what I'm going to actually be starting, because I get to where I'm thinking and I get these irrational thoughts that come to my mind. And when I say irrational, things like, okay, if I died, no one would even know. What I do doesn't matter, or no one actually likes me, or you put it in, they're all really negative too. So for thought stopping, there's 3 things that you're going to do. You're going to state the thought. So when it comes to your mind, it's not something like, okay, I'm not even going to think that. Okay. Because we got to replace that thought with something else. And this is something that came from this techniques book. So you need to state the thought, whether it's you write it down. If you're out in public and no one else is with you, you may not want to say it out loud because people may think you've really lost your mind. Okay. But state the thought. Okay. Then second, you're going to create a startling interruption. Now, if you're by yourself, you could simply yell, "Stop!" Like, there have been times that I've been having dreams or laying in bed, I'm starting to doze off, and I'm having these thoughts that I don't want going on in my head. And I just I've woken up and I'm like, stop it. Okay. You could do something like that. I would not recommend that you do it out in public, because once again, people might think that you've lost it. Okay. Something I will, something they did say was a rubber band. Your stop interruption, if you're having that thought, could be and it actually kind of stings a little bit, but you stop. Okay. And then you're going to replace that thought with the positive thought. Okay. So if it's that, okay, I am incapable of finishing a task, I'm going to stop that thought and I'm going to say, but Kim, you have finished high school, you have finished college, you finished 1 master's degree, and now you're on your 2nd. You are fully capable of finishing things. You're just having a tough time right now. Okay. So that's how we would do thought stopping. We're trying to use some positive techniques here. And then the last thing would be, it's called building efficacy and esteem. I called it, you can do this, is what I called it. And this once again came from the techniques book. A lot of times the anxiety comes because of our self-worth. we believe we're not going to get what we need. We believe we judge ourselves because we're feeling a certain way, and it's not okay to feel that way. I can't have any thoughts of being angry. I can't be mad at so and so. I can't be. It's okay to not be okay. We just can't stay there. So we have to build a positive view of ourselves. Not, and I'm not saying, I'm perfect. Not that type of positive. But if we could see ourselves the way that God sees us as a in a very positive way. Yes, he sees the sin that we do, but he sees us with unconditional positive regard. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given his son for us. So we need to put ourselves behind God's glasses there to help us see how God sees and realize it's okay to not be okay. We talked about irrational beliefs. And the biggest thing is silencing the internal critic. I wanted to share something with you real quick here. I'm sharing some of the links here, and once this stream is over, you can go in. But I got this article called "Anxiety and Faith," and it was from the American Association of Christian Counselors. So I put the link to this article once you go back to the video. After it's posted live, it'll be in there. But this counselor, she's a doctor. She's an RN. She has a master's of social work. She's a licensed counseling social worker, and she's talking about someone she worked with, a 50-year-old woman who had been battling a long time with eating disorders, and she had repented for what she had done to her body, but she was really dealing with a lot of guilt over what she had done. And what this counselor says is, I'm sorry, I had it right here. That Chris says, therefore, treatment of anxiety practiced from a distinctly Christian counseling perspective requires careful assessment to determine if anxiety has been the result of the person's religious belief system or whether the symptoms of anxiety have been ameliorated by one's religious faith, or is a combination of the two. Religion has been shown scientifically to have positive impacts on a person's mental health. But on the other side, it is also shown to add more guilt and shame. There has to be a balance of the two. If your religious beliefs are constantly about shaming you and not about helping you see who you are in God's eyes, it's going to be a very difficult time for you. I wanted to, it said here, it says research on religious coping. Research in the field of religious coping indicates that religious faith has been both positively and negatively associated with anxiety. Negative outcomes have been found in those suffering with anxiety that had strict religious backgrounds and persons of faith with obsessive compulsive disorder. Symptoms in these populations are demonstrated as heightened anxiety related to perfectionism and approval. However, overall, it appears that religious faith involvement has been shown to have a positive correlation to anxiety for those who are intrinsically religious or who employ religious coping mechanisms. So I think we have to be careful. While our religious beliefs and our religious practices give us a sense of hope for our difficulties and our future outcome, we have to be careful that we are not letting some of the strictness, the man-made strictness, I'll put it that way, that all too often happens in religious practices, that put expectations on us that contribute to our anxiety. God does not expect us to be perfect. He knows that we will make mistakes, and He doesn't love us any less if we make those mistakes. One mistake doesn't mean that you've lost it all. There are repercussions for our mistakes, and there are responsibilities that we have to take for our actions. However, not all is lost. And if we have a growth mindset going into it, that I'm going to learn from this, it's not the end of the world that I messed up. I own it, but I'm going to become better from this. And I'm going to use my faith to help make me stronger so I won't make some of these mistakes again. That's how we grow in our religious practices and our relationship with God. So we have to have a proper balance, though. It's so easy for us to put man-made expectations and actually kind of mix that into our religious practices. So a lot of times we actually think what God's requiring of us is not even what He's requiring of us. It's what we think He's requiring of us. But anyway, I am wondering, as you're out there, if there's any questions, any suggestions that you guys have, anything that you find that works for you. You've been kind of quiet out there. We're almost wrapping it up here. I was going to go back to the poll here and see if we had any more. Okay. Looks like we got a decent amount. All right. Well, I don't know. I hope that something we talked about tonight will help someone out there moving forward. Whether it's learning some new things. I'd love to hear if there's something that you find that works for you, something that you found helpful tonight. We have the email address. I'll type it in again. It's Lessons from Waiting. No, it's not. I don't know what it is. You can always message the Facebook page. You can check out the group there. Feel free to pass this along to any of your friends if you think it would be helpful for them. And I still would love to hear any topics that you're interested in, whether you would like me to take something that we've already done and maybe focus a little bit more on one specific area. I'd be happy to do that. Or if you have an idea of a fun topic, or you want to just come on and be a co-person with me, I would love to have guests. So it was great to be with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for all of your care and support. Hopefully next week I will have my mugs in. They were supposed to be in for today, but they were not. So I'm having to deal with my husband's super academic coffee mug. But I've enjoyed the time with you guys tonight, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. And I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.